Hello guys, Omni here. It's time to pick back up with the Legends. So we are going to be covering this week's episode. So if you haven't seen it, be sure to tune out because I'll probably be spoiling some things. So last warning before we start talking about the episode. So again, Sarah is still out at Star City in this episode, at least until the end. She shows up at the end, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in between. Not a lot of it's very important. So we're going to be talking about some key things. We got some weird things about Nate and a scooter in this episode, which comes into some kind of a payoff towards the end of this. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with writing this episode because it's just nonsensical. So the encore in this episode is Genghis Khan. He is roaming about in 1997 in Hong Kong. You would think, okay, those times don't necessarily add up. As we learn, when he shows himself as the team is tracking him, he's, I guess, continuing his conquests against China in this because he goes after the Chinese triads and eventually a prince later in the episode as well. But he initially starts off starting a kind of gang war against the triads. In which there are some undercover cops that are there kind of trying to do like a sting against the triads and get mixed up in the Genghis Khan stuff. He's got a magic sword, just like the magic gun from the Seagull episode. It deletes you from time. So when he stabs somebody, they get deleted from time. But he also makes a comment that he woke up from being dead in his tomb, in his coffin, in his sarcophagus, whatever you want to call it. And it took him 7 years to dig himself free. So that's why we have our time discrepancy on when he would have actually been resurrected initially and where he is now. So apparently one of his things he was known for, of course, as, was, his mastery of horses and stuff like that. And they make this like quippy comment of like, what are the horses of today but motorcycles? Which that pays off. Not in a motorcycle later, but with him on scooters. He has an entire machine gun gang on motor scooters. And it is laughable and hilarious in the way that it is just complete nonsense. Rewinding a bit back to the triad scene, I don't know what it is, but they decided to pay a lot of homages to John Woo because when he makes his entrance, there's just a random dove. One dove, not multiple, as there would be if this was John Woo, but there's just a singular dove that just passes by him in the background. And when everything's said and done in the triad meeting there, it turns into a shootout between the undercover cops, the triads, Genghis Khan and his crew, and the team involved as well. And it's entirely shot like it's a John Woo action scene. Of course, not as good, but it just seems so random, but whatever. There's this little thing, as we learned in this episode, that Bayrod and Charlie apparently banged and have a thing, which pays off later because Charlie ends up going undercover as the prince, as an imposter, while the real prince is stuck in the Wave Rider, safely being annoyed and stared by Rory, and his music and his drinking and all that stuff definitely has the guy perturbed and afraid to do anything. Charlie gets caught. Bayrod, of course, there's this comment about like, you could probably stop bullets with your wind. And I was like, honestly, that'd have to be some really strong wind. And, to save Charlie, because when she's outed, Genghis Khan tries to, initially marry her so that he can have her power for himself. And then when she is like, nah, fam, I'm okay. He orders his people to shoot Charlie. And it's in that moment the Bayrod goes in and he's like, wum, wum, and stops all the bullets. All bullet-timey Neo style. There's even like this rip-off kind of background soundtrack that really sounds kind of like the Matrix theme, one of the themes. In the meanwhile, we pick back up with John, who does this spell to try to figure out what happened to him. And he goes into his purgatory where he's met by Astra. And then there's this whole coping mechanism. He goes through a number of things trying to stave off his death as he learns about his lung cancer being sped up. And he's just not letting go. He's trying anything and everything to try to save his own life. Different magics. He has that one mythical creature, I forget the name of it, that could cure anything. Try and it's unable to. He even summons, has Ray call Nora in and he basically terrifies her godchild into wishing for him to be better, and that doesn't work. He just ends up coughing up more blood in front of this kid and just freaks her out, which was kind of funny. He just tries everything. He even shouts out for Gabriel to come and help him, and that's something he would never do, is ask for the help of an angel. You watch the show and his stories or anything like that, but he gives into that, trying to bargain with them and gets no answer there. He's pretty much on his last ditch efforts. And when he's done berating everybody, as John would do, he has this conversation with this bulldog, this animated bulldog that's on his like walking cane because he can barely keep himself up. And he tells him about, why are you wasting your time? Why are you doing all this stuff? You know, they don't want to deal with you. You know, don't waste your moments. And then, of course, the bulldog being all kinds of right, you know, I was like, oh, don't make me stick you where the sun don't shine. And then the dog flips back with a, you'd probably like that. And then we get a little like, well, you're kind of right, from John. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so hilarious. And then he basically caves and, you know, calls Ray and Gary back in, who have been trying to help him with this. And they really kind of have a heart to heart. They spend some good time together. And when he reads his will, which he apparently just wrote, and he leaves his house to Gary and asks Ray about his bucket list, because I made fun of him for having one before, and Ray lists one of the things that's on it, and that's to ask Nora to marry him. He's held off on it for this long because, of course, his last two fiancés engagements did not end well, knowing the first one, which he lost during the onslaught, the siege from the Deathstroke attack on Star City, and then, of course, Felicity ending up with Oliver, and then now just being afraid to make that commitment again with Nora and it not work out. John tells him, take it from me, a guy with nothing but a lifetime of regrets, do it. And they make their last little cheers, and they have their drinks, and John poisons himself. He's like, if I'm going to go out, it's not going to be by anybody but my own hand. And when he returns back to his purgatory in that moment, Astra meets him, and he's able to convince her that he would be able to bring her mother back. And she rewinds his clock and gives him his time back, and she's like, I can take you out at any moment, so you better do this. We learn about Charlie's real past. She is actually one of the Fates. Clotho is the one they said, this one that actually spins the threads on the wheel of fate. At some point, she decided that people need to be able to create their own destinies, and destroyed the Loom. Her sisters, the other two, have hated her ever since, and that's why she's been running. They've just been trying to kill her, and she's been able to do this successfully because prior to this, she scattered the pieces of the Loom across the multiverse. She makes a comment that Sarah and her paragons blundered it up by combining all of the multiverses into one universe. And now all the Loom pieces are back in the same universe, which allows them to tap back into her power and actually reinvigorates this threat. There's also a throwaway comment that this is still not her true form. If she transformed into her original state, everybody, all the humans' eyes and ears would explode if they saw her or heard her voice. I think that's kind of funny. I think that's awesome. It's also a cheap way of never having to show her in her original form. Will they show the sisters? Maybe. Probably not, because if they did show up in their original forms, they would just kill everybody instantly, and that would end our story. So yeah. Not just a shapeshifter, not a leprechaun, not any of that strange stuff that we've maybe kind of thought up until this point. Again, in this episode, the best parts, the most interesting parts, was the John stuff. I'm going to keep saying that until they finally prove me wrong with the other Legends stuff being interesting. I like Ray and Nora's bits. I really like John and his storyline. Everybody else, I don't know. It's okay. I'm not really getting anywhere with everything else. They're really drawing out even farther this Zari thing. They're making it. Are they going to when she gets her memories back? Are they going to keep her and Bayrod here on the ship? I mean, what's she going to do? She doesn't have the totem because he does. I honestly thought he was going to save Charlie, and the bullets wouldn't actually wouldn't actually be stopped by the wind, and that was going to be, we were going to lose him. And then maybe something would trigger passing the totem to Zari would have awakened the last bits of her dormant memories. She accuses him of pretty much drugging the donut she ate because it gave her hallucinations. Again, the show's ridiculous. We had Genghis Khan on a on a motor scooter that had mounted machine guns. Oh my god. But it is what it is. It's just bonkers, and I accept it. But I really want to see more of John's stuff. I really want them to dive into that. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it every episode that we further John's story, is that I really wish that we could renew his show and really dive back into that world and see a lot of that, and even intertwine it. I don't know if you're just going to keep him on the Legends forever, but I would like to see them bring his show back and then just interconnect it with everybody else at this point. Because when it came out, it wasn't, and it got canceled, and they pretty much just picked up Matt Ryan and the license to it, kind of in the way that they did with Supergirl. So I don't know. That's just my opinions on it. I know that's probably not the same for everybody out there. At the end of the episode, Sarah comes back and is like, "What all did I miss?" Everybody's blah 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 stuff, talking over everybody because so much has happened in the last couple episodes. So she left. But yeah, overall, it was okay. It was a good episode. I would like to get into some more action and get the plot moving. But that's my thoughts on the episode, guys. What did you guys think of the episode? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we will carry on that conversation after the video, and I will catch you guys next time with the next episode of Legends of Tomorrow. So, guys, as always, if you like the video, support the channel by liking, commenting, subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Take care, everybody.